few weeks ago, probably months even, that I actually watched one of Dawko's videos and noticed this video predictions with John from Fnaf. Now, this has got to be one of the most very interesting things that I've seen specifically, apart from predictions themselves, but also when they talked about specifically about the whole canon timeline or the whole overall story of the original story to Five Nights at Freddy's. And I remember hearing them say specifically,
No, I mean, they could do something like that. If they wanted to keep making games, they could do a prequel of Security Breach and then do the finale. Because the thing is, when Cassie, if Cassie and Gregory and Vanessa kill the mimic, that's it, right? That's like the end of FNAF. Like, I can't really see. I mean, they probably could, you know what Scott can do, but like, that is a big possibility. That is the end of the timeline. That's it. So, you know, that if they want to keep that as the final game and the finale, if they want to, they could do a prequel to Security Breach. They could make a Full Fest game and then do the finale.
Right.
But they could easily make a Full Fest game, bro. Like, so easily.
which was very interesting, in fact. And I thought about that to myself as well, and that's actually, like, yeah, I did not think about it like that, because, like, we knew that, like, a long time that FNAF is, like, a thing that was kind of, like, almost never-ending. But then I realized to myself, asking myself this question, and a lot of others should also ask themselves this as well, is Five Nights at Freddy's about to finally end? Now, what do I mean by that is that I'm specifically talking about, like, you know, the main storyline, like literally just the main storyline alone, like, you know, the main games that we've had from 1 so far all the way to Help 1 and 2 that we've gotten, right? Not the other. You could include FNAF World as well, because that kind of connects with FNAF 3. I guess that's the only one that you can be able to connect it with. I'm not talking about, like, you know, the other spin-off games, like, you know, Into the Pit game that we've got, or we obviously got, like, a new other game coming that is also coming with Mega Cat Studios, which is, you know, the Fetch game, right? We are obviously getting that. We of course got 5 Laps at Freddy's, which is also a spin-off game, but whether that's apparently gonna come up as part of the lore or something, that really wouldn't surprise me. But anything that is not, like, technically related to, you know, the original canon timeline of FNAF, that's what I'm talking about today. For all the games that we've had from this point on, specifically parts of the mainline game only of the original stories that we have been going through, at this rate, it does seem like that it's actually about to end. And I wouldn't say that the games like the original story wouldn't end just yet, because there's only, to me, in my opinion, there are only like a few other games that I think you could also do as well, that can also extend just a little tiny bit further into the timeline, but not too much. I mean, we know that Scott Cawthon is now making games that are now starting to become absolutely straightforward, and they're starting to solve everything that we've been trying to figure out for, like, years now. So that's what I want to talk about here today. So you got, obviously, you know, the original games through the original saga, which was, you know, FNAF 1 to Ultimate Custom Night. So that was the first few. And then, of course, you've got, you know, the Security Breach games. And then, of course, after that, we've got Help 1 and 2. The next game that's going to be coming up is going to be, you know, Secret of the Mimic. And then after that, what Dawko said earlier about having to have, like, you know, a Full Fest or Fredbears, something like that along the lines of when either those are going to come out. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they actually did do, like, a Full Fest as well beforehand, and then Security Breach 2. Or they could just, you know, do Secret of the Mimic and then do a Security Breach 2. That's how I kind of think of it. And then, if that does happen, So this is my own opinion with this. Like, this isn't like, I mean, you could say this is the theory, but like, this is literally like my opinion on how I feel like how the timeline should at least just continue on just a tiny bit further. Not too much, obviously, but just only like, I feel like only 2 more games. To me, after Security Breach 2, I feel like 2 more games should finalize about like anything. Only one game in particular that I think is like the real big finale to everything finally. But then of course, like if you wanted to add this additional game, to me this particular additional game that I was thinking was kind of like a very a very kind of meme-ish like kind of game, but it still fits in with the story as well. But I still at least wanted to have like action. I still want to have some of the scary aspects. I still wanted to have like, the lore implications in there as well. But it needs to be at least straightforward, needs to be simple. It still needs to be good. Like it needs to be something that it's worth experiencing or worth knowing, worth discovering. So, after doing, like secure, like if we finish, when the game, Secret of the Mimic comes out, we have Security Breach 2. I mean, obviously with that, when they have Security Breach 2, I'm pretty sure that's when, Gregory, Glamrock Freddy, Vanessa will help out Cassie and Roxy. They finally get to team up together. They finally get to realize what's actually going on, and they finally settle things with each other. And then, of course, they team up to take down the Mimic, whatever the heck remains with it. Okay? Whether the Mimic is going to be just like himself, or like I said in my previous video as well, that the Mimic could also dress up as like Tiger Rock, or could be in the form of Burn Trap, but, have its own canon this time, for real. And by the time when that happens, the story is that part of the story, that saga, is finally finished of Five Nights at Freddy's. But with the other 2 games that I think that should at least be in there. First off, the number 1 game that I do feel like would definitely be very important. And that, of course, is a Fredbear and Friends Family Diner game. Now, I feel like this, like, when it comes to a Fredbear and Friends Family Diner game, you can make it, I feel like, in my opinion, should be in the form of, like, we're still in the present day after the events of Security Breach 2. You could probably have you could still have the team also maybe come into Fredbear and Friends Family Diner, perhaps. You could do that, or you could just have you could probably just have, once again, another, like, detective or security officer that is investigating Fredbear and Friends Family Diner, and also, like, have some flashbacks in the game as well. Like, have flashbacks of Henry being a security guard in what was happening throughout the events when he was still working with William Afton back in the days, back in the 1980s, when Fredbear and Friends Family Diner came out. Like, something like that. Like, I want to have events in that game where it also puts things into the, not just focusing things that what's going on from the past, but also focus stuff in the present timeline as well, / future. You get the idea. Like I said, you could put, Gregory, Vanessa, Cassie in there as well, perhaps, if you want, to make things a little bit more interesting and also cool. Add Glamrock Freddy and Roxy, perhaps. Maybe just like I feel like that'd be awesome, to be honest. Like, the future meets the past. Like, that'd be kind of cool. And to keep this brief, like, I will actually mention this, by the way, in another separate video about these 2 games that I'm thinking of. But like, for a villain, for a good villain specifically for this Fredbear and Friends Family Diner game, I was thinking more on the lines of a returning, but like / new character, but like it's still a returning character anyways, which obviously I do believe should be Nightmare. Nightmare is a very interesting character who has a lot of mystery and has a lot of potential to become an actual proper Five Nights at Freddy's villain. He is of course the dark half of Nightmare Fredbear in FNAF 4, and in the FNAF files he is considered to be a Shadow Freddy. So it would be cool to see if Steelwool and Scott pull off a ZadQ37, because if you don't know who ZadQ37 is, he makes these fan made animations and source filmmaker. It's pretty cool actually. I've been watching them. I still watch them actually, where Shadow Freddy is the villain and he's also considered to be Nightmare. So I feel like finally, if they do decide to do that, that'll be awesome to see. Unless if also you want to also have, Nightmare also in his base state, a nightmarish like state, like, which is Night Bear, apart from just being Shadow Freddy, of course. So it's like an evolved form of of Nightmare. It's like Pokemon, if you want to think about it like that or something. I won't go into any more like I especially want to go further details there, but I do feel like that, Nightmare alone could also have some very huge significances, especially around about in the days of Five Nights at Freddy's 4 and also what happened in, Fredbear and Friends Family Diner. Because remember again that, Nightmare did say to William Afton in Ultimate Custom Night this quote here. So I feel like it could be William Afton. William Afton also created Shadow Freddy / Nightmare. So that would be very interesting to actually see. And I hope that does happen. However, I do feel like that, like, Shadow Freddy and / Nightmare alone is like good guy and a bad guy at the exact same time, depending on how you put it. Of course, with the animatronics themselves, I did talk about this, if they're gonna do a Fredbear and Friends Family Diner game at some point, this was like the kind of prediction I wanted the animatronics to be in, apart from Nightmare, or like even having the spring animatronics having their own night versions, black armor and like, the yellow hat or bow ties, all that sort of stuff. Like animatronics, I do believe I want. Obviously, we're gonna have Fredbear, Spring Bonnie, and to also make it brief as well, we could probably have Plush Trap in there, but however, a yellow color, and also have a Spring Freddy, which, like I talked about in Stage 01, I do feel like that's more of a Spring Freddy more than a Fredbear. That I do feel like should also be part of the game. And if you want, you could possibly have Marionette in there as well before, he or she was possessed by Charlie. You could have a Spring Foxy in there as well, I think. That's not a bad idea. And if you want to have Fredbear 2.0, if that's even going to happen, I don't know, but I know I'm going for like the Fredbear and Friends fan-made games, but like I feel like that should pretty much happen, to be honest. I mean, too many animatronics, I know, but like if that does happen, I'll be very happy. But regardless, whether it's more or less, regardless, I'll be happy to see that. And if they have their dark forms as well, that'd be cool as well. And for the second, for the other game that was talking after the events, if doing the Fredbear and Friends Family Diner, this is more like of a very general thing. But like, think about all the times that we have to face all of these type of villains, William Afton and the Mimic. But then don't forget about Fazbear Entertainment after when William Afton and Henry were no longer part of the business. Cause you know what Fazbear Entertainment's like. Fazbear Entertainment has been like they're kind of stubborn and they just don't learn from their mistakes. They really don't learn from any of their mistakes, like, at all. Like, you get to hear, like, one incident after another, like, no matter how big or small the company has been all these years, it's like, it's just completely disastrous. Like, it's pretty obvious that, in reality, like, a company like that, Fazbear Entertainment are, like, literally the real villains of this entire franchise. And we just been focusing on more, like, so many one of these, on, like, one character only, like William of the Mimic, or who else could possibly be in there. I feel like after maybe even when finishing Fredbear and Friends Family Diner and defeating Nightmare, perhaps, or something like that, if that happens, then there should be also a point where Vanessa, Gregory, Cassie, Glamrock Freddy, and Roxy should also have to confront Fazbear Entertainment as well. Because one, this is gonna sound really weird. I saw this video once, which I can't remember who it was. It was specifically a try not to laugh challenge animation video, and like where apparently Hand Unit was the villain. I did not think about this until recently, and that's when I realized to myself, because think about it, Hand Unit has been around like so many times. Like he's been around since Sister Location, right? And I wondered to myself, maybe Hand Unit could be the next new villain after that, after Fredbear and Friends Family Diner defeating Nightmare or something. But remember, this game in particular that I'm talking about is like more of a general comedic, but also serious at the exact same time, meme kind of thing. Because the amount of times that Andy Field has been voicing as Hand Unit, but he's been voicing so many other units as well in so many games after that. It's like far out. Like, how many times do you got to be there? I mean, I know you've been around a long time, but it just really makes you want to think that maybe Hand Unit could possibly be the new villain after that, and he's the one who's now pulling the strings in Fazbear Entertainment, and he wants to just basically spread any kind of Fazbear Entertainment stuff as possible, whether it's a mega pizzaplex, whether it's a whole new other location entirely. I feel like that, I mean, it's funny in a way. It's funny in a way, which I like, but of course, like, hopefully it shouldn't be, like, I mean, you can make the game long, but don't make it as serious, like, because this is Fazbear Entertainment we're talking about. Fazbear Entertainment is like, it's been laughed at like now so many times. I think that, it's come up to a point that, okay, maybe perhaps since this guy's been voicing this voice so much, I think maybe it's time that maybe Andy Field could also voice as Hand Unit, along with all the other Hand Units that he's been voicing as, but become the actual villain. Because think about it, he's also the voice of the guy in the radio in the Secret of the Mimic trailer, if you didn't realize. And I feel like that is an actual person who's talking to you.
So let me explain the situation. One of our contractors, Edwin Murray, has gone missing, leaving our property abandoned in his warehouse. Your job is simple. Enter the warehouse and retrieve the technology that he was developing for us.
So it makes you wonder, maybe there is a person like that Andy Field could play as, that apart from being like, the Hand Unit. Like, he could actually be some kind of guy that he's just been trying to run big business on his own, and he's been doing so well even without William or Henry. He's basically been the one who's been just bringing all this BS up all the time. It's like, yeah, it's funny in a way. Again, it's funny. It's like, it's a very meme kind of story. It's a very meme-like story. And I do believe that it's a possibility. It's a possibility. So that's basically how I view it. So after doing, like, as I said, recap of everything I just said, right? Making it brief again. Recap of everything. So you have all the games through 1 to Fnaf Help 1 and 2, and then of course you got the Secret of the Mimic. You then afterwards perhaps get Security Breach 2, unless if you want to put that other, the Fall Fest beforehand. I don't know, but let's just not talk about that at the moment. I'm just more fixated. I'm more focused on that. Then we have Fredbear and Friends Family Diner, which is like a combination of going into the past and then focusing on the present or what is actually going on right now. Nightmare is the main villain. And then after the events of Fredbear and Friends Family Diner, when that's finished, you then have to have a game that involves with just having to stop this one guy who's been being like all the Hand Units, whatever, which, Andy Field voices. But he also can become that other person as well. Like, he's the one who's also been pulling the strings, and, despite how many freaking incidents that's been happening, he's still continuing to make the business. And, whoever's gonna, like, you could have Gregory, Vanessa, Cassie, Glam Freddy, and Roxanne, to confront him and confront the whole business and to finally shut down Fazbear Entertainment once and for all. That's how I feel, like how I see it. That's like literally the whole entire timeline of the main story of how this whole ordeal should end. That's how I feel like this whole thing should end. And then after that, that's it. After that, there is no more like any incidents whatsoever. Freddy Fazbear Entertainment has been completely shut down for good. No more animatronics are killer animatronics, apart from Glamrock Freddy and Roxy. I don't know, maybe they still stay alive or something. I don't know. Unless if Vanessa actually takes head of the company and then tries to fix the mistakes that what the company has originally done, and Gregory, Cassie, Roxy, and Glam Freddy can help out as well. And, maybe that way there's no incidents once again. And there's no more, spirits. There's no more viruses. No animatronics that will be taken over by spirits or programming, like whatsoever. And I don't know. If Edwin somehow comes into, Secret of Epic and helps the rest of the gang, I don't know, maybe. It's a possibility, but we'll just have to wait and see. So, yeah, that's what I think the whole timeline would be. Like, the whole main story timeline of Five Nights at Freddy's. So, just adding in that here, as you can see, that's what I feel like it should be. Now, would the rest of the franchise of just Five Nights at Freddy's alone, would that be finished? Like, would that also be the end of the entire franchise for Scott Cawthon and Steelwool to stop making stuff? Obviously, no, because, there are other things that you can still do. After when the regular timeline is finished, you can still make spin-offs. You can still make, other Into the, Fazbear Fright story games, like how they've started Into the Pit by Mega Cat Studios. We still, as I said, we still got the Fetch to come out, so I can't wait for that one. That'll be cool. And again, as I said before, we still got Five Laps of Freddy's. We still got other Five Nights at Freddy's fan games, by the way. Don't forget that. There is still plenty of that to go. I mean, I'm pretty sure I will still be playing some in the future. Don't make any mistake with that. Pretty much all of us as the FNAF community would, keep playing. Just by the time whenever that's done, when the original timeline and storyline is finished, that's when you don't have to make any more games for that. But you can start making spin-offs for the franchise still. And just make stories from the, do games from the stories, like Fazbear Frights or, Into the Pit. Or, like, Tales of the Mega Pizzaplex. Or just something, like, crazy creative, like a FNAF World 2 or something. Or, yeah. Something like that along the lines. Like, you don't have to freaking make things so complicated anymore. Like, I mean, the way how Scott has been doing it now just makes me feel like it's like, he's making it a bit more straightforward than he usually does. He can still make more merchandise. He can still make more books. He can still do all of that sort of stuff. He can still do it. We got the FNAF 2 movie coming. We've already seen the trailer. It's still good. It's amazing. And of course, we still got the third FNAF movie coming, which then I think, as they said, they're going to continue on after the original trilogy and probably do even spin-offs of that. We'll probably get like a Sister Location movie, FNAF 6 movie, FNAF 4 movie, any of those things. Even freaking Tales of the Pizzaplex could, or Fazbear Frights movies, or you can even do that as a series even, like Goosebumps. That sort of thing. There's so much you can do there. Like, you don't have to work on the original timeline anymore, but you can do, like, a few spin-offs. Like, just, of course, like, what he said in the interview with Dawko recently, like, you don't have to do, like, make sure you don't do much. Which I feel like, it's a good thing that he's doing at the moment. I feel like he hasn't done too much anyways, because, like, he's doing a really good job with doing this. And if he can keep it at just the pace with he is doing, then that's also fine. That's okay with me. I rather prefer nothing else than that. So, yeah. I think that's all I have to say there. It's just a little bit of a discussion that I wanted to talk about. And, being as it may that the original timeline of FNAF would literally be over finally soon, but it's not going to be over that soon. Because as I said, like I feel like at least just adding those 2 games in, and then we're good as gold finally, and that'll be absolutely fantastic. And then of course you could go with the spin-offs, the books, the movies, all that sort of stuff, while still keeping at the original pace that Scott has been doing it in. So yeah, it was just something that I just wanted to go through by, and just to notify our community, our FNAF community, that we're still kicking strong, even if the main timeline of FNAF is over. So, and once it does, it's like we still got plenty of stuff to be able to do or talk about. It's like the fun will never stop. Obviously, it's FNAF. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. Just a little discussion I wanted to do, uh, just to get things through. I think that I think it's great that what Scott has done after all these years, and I thank Scott. I do. I really do thank Scott after everything. I mean, I was never interested in the game itself, but then after when things were still continuing, it's like far out. Like this game is more crazier than I thought it would be, and that's when I got more into it. So yeah, that's just a little little thing about myself there. But other than that, yeah. What do you guys think about this? We comment down below? What do you think about having it to be over? Like, do you think those 2 games would be like, would that be it? Like, I think that should probably be that should be it. And then you can go on with any other kind of projects, spin-offs, movies, etc. I think I've pretty much covered my bases there. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you haven't, please like, subscribe. If you haven't already, click on the notification bell to never miss a video. I will leave you guys to it and enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe, stay healthy. As always, my name is Mad Dog, and may your days be mad and rad.